Hey guys, we are going to continue working on our dashboard, and in this video we are going to work on the functionality of editing our rooms. So let's go to the page of the rooms and let's try to edit this room. Here's the information of this room. Here's the location of this room and the details, the title, price and description. And here are the images. We can cancel editing and clear this information from our memory. Now let's try to change the information. Let's change the location to Amsterdam and add here new information to the title. Change the price and let's delete one of these images and add a new one. And before submitting, let's try to close the window. We can see a warning message from our system that there are changes need to be saved. So let's cancel and let's try to refresh. And this time let's continue reloading. And let's go back to the editing section. We can see that our information is still here. This is the new location in Amsterdam. And what we added to the title is still there, the price as well, and the new image. So our system kept the information of the user even if he left or closed the browser. Now let's try to submit. Our room has been updated successfully. And here's the new information, the location in Amsterdam, the new price, and the new image. So let's get started working on this functionality. This is the other version of our application. Here the editing is not working yet. But before working on that, let's fix a little mistake from our last video. In our room actions, when we delete the room using this function, here when we send the images of the room to our function delete images, we should not add the ID of the current user. We should add here the user ID inside the room object. That is the ID of the user who added this room and already stored with the room inside our database. And the reason for that as well, because the admin and editor can delete others' rooms. So the current user ID is different than the ID of the user who added the room. And the ID in our Firebase storage stored with the image is the ID of the user who added this room. Now let's go to our rooms actions inside the dashboard. And here's the editing button. We need to add here a new function. Let's call it handle edit. And let's add it here. We already have add section to add the room for the first time. So we are going to use that add section to edit our room. This is the section here. We are going to use this for editing as well. So let's go to the component controls these sections. That component is bottom nav. Here we used only local state, but we need to access this state from our dashboard. This state controls which section is open. From here, we need to replace this local state with the new state in our global context so we can access it easily from anywhere. Let's delete this local state and go to our global context and add here new state. Let's call it section. Give it default value 0 for the first section, that is the map. And let's go to the reducer. And let's add a new action here to update this state. In case of update section. We will retain the same state, but we will update the section. Now let's save and go back to our component. And let's extract that state here from our global context. And the dispatcher to control this state using our hook useValue. And let's replace the old state with this new global state. Let's replace it here as well. And in this value. And let's change set value to dispatch. The payload, it will be this new value. And the type of action is update section. And here we don't need to pass this state anymore to add room. Let's save here and go to add room component. Let's delete this prop. And we don't need to pass it as a parameter to our function create room. Let's save here and go to this function to replace it. Let's delete this parameter. And here, instead of set page, we will dispatch to update the section. Update section. And the payload is 0, that means the main map. Now let's save and check if it is still working the same. Let's change the section here. And here it is opening the section. And this is our add section. So it is working perfectly. Now let's go back to our room actions. We need here to extract all the fields of the room from the dataGrid row. We need the ID of the room, the longitude, latitude, price, title, description, and the images of the room, as well as the user ID who added this room using params.row. Now let's use dispatch to fill the global states with this room data. Let's first update the location. And the payload is an object of longitude and latitude. And let's copy this 4 times. Want to update the state of details. The object is a price, title, and description. And let's update the images of the room. The payload is an array of images. But here we have a problem because here it is array. But in our action, we used to set the images of the room one by one. So we need to change this action in the reducer. Here, when we set the images, we will just spread the content of the array instead of adding one by one. But we need to change that as well when we add the images at the first time one by one. So let's go to this component, progress item. This is where we upload the image into our Firebase storage and get the URL of the image. Instead of sending one URL, we are going to include it inside an array. And this will solve the conflict. Let's go back to our rooms actions. And here we need to add a new action and a new global state to our context. So we can pass the ID of the room and the ID of the user who added this room. Let's go and add this new state. Let's add it here after the location and call it updated room. The default value is null. Let's save here and go to our reducer to add a new action to update this state. And let's call it here update updated room. We will retain the same state and we will change only the updated room state. We will fill this state with the payload we received in the action. And let's add it here when we reset the room information. Here let's pass it the default value. And let's save and go back to our rooms actions. And let's use it here. I think I just called it there updated room. Let's go and change it. Yeah, let's add here update. And let's go back and add it here. And we will pass an object that includes the ID of the room and the ID of the user who added this room. And here let's open the section add room. The payload, it will be 2. And we don't need this. Let's replace it by the navigator. We need to navigate to the main page from our dashboard. So let's use the hook use navigate from React router down. Let's import it. And let's navigate to the home page. Let's save and check. Let's go to the dashboard. And let's try to edit one of these rooms. And here is the information of our room, the location, the details, and the images. Now let's work on updating this information in our database. Let's go to the server side, to the room controllers, and let's add a new controller or function here. Let's call it update room. And use the try catch function to catch any errors, and we are going to pass it our controller here. We will request update to our Mongo database using our model room.find by ID and update, and we will pass it the ID we received in the request and the information in the body of the request. And we will pass it this object to retain the new updated information. After successful updating, we are going to send back a response to the user with status 200, success is true, and the result, it will be the updated room. Let's save here and create route to access this resource. Let's copy this route. And let's change delete to patch and the controller to update room. And let's save and close these files, we don't need them. Now let's go to the actions of the room in the client side. And let's copy this action or function. Let's place it here. Update the name to update room. We will receive the same parameters and we will add to them updated room object. This object contains the ID of the user and the ID of the room. Let's here update the room to be updated room and the method to patch. And let's add here body. It will be the room object we received in the parameters. And here let's update the message to be updated successfully. And let's replace these actions here. Let's copy them from create room function. We need these actions. And here let's replace these. Now let's save here and go to add room component, because in that component is the submit button. We need to change here the layout a little bit because we need to add another button for cancellation. Let's cut this condition and only wrap the submit button with this condition. And here we need to show even update or submit. So we need to add here condition. We need to extract here our state updated room. And let's use it down in the condition. If the state is updating, we will show the text update in the button. Otherwise, it will be submit. And here let's change the direction of the stack. We need it to be row. And here let's justify the content to the center and add gapping of 2. Now let's add the button cancel. The variant will be outlined. And let's add icon to the end of this button. We will use cancel from material icons. And on a click we are going to create a new function to handle the cancellation. Let's add it here. And for now let's leave it as an empty function. Let's here work on handle submit. Let's add here a condition if it is updating state. We will use here our action update room we've just created, and we will pass it the room, this object. This is the object of the room, and the values are the ones in the global state. And let's pass the current user, the dispatcher, and the updated room object. Now let's save and check. Let's try to change the location to The Hague. And let's update the price and the title. And in the images step, we are going to delete this image and add a new photo. And let's update. Now the room has been updated successfully. Here's the new location, the new price, and the new photo. Our functionality is working correctly. Now let's go back to our dashboard and try to edit one of the rooms. These are the photos of the room. But if we go back and try to edit one of the rooms again, or the same room, we will see that the image is doubled. That's because we spread our array. In this case, we need to clear the information of the room that has been edited first before we start editing a new room. And we need also to work on this cancel button. So let's go back to the actions of the room. And let's add a new function here. Let's call it clear room. This function will be responsible of clearing the information of the room from the global state or the memory, as well as clearing the information from our local storage, and also to delete the unused images from our Firebase storage. But for now, we are just going to start with clearing the information of the room from our global states. So let's dispatch here to reset the room. Let's use this function in our update room action. We just need to replace this dispatch with this function. The functionality until now is the same, but we are going to add more functionality to this function. And let's use it as well in our create room action. Now let's save here and go to our rooms actions component. We need to use this function before we edit the room, clear the old room information. Let's use it here. And let's go to add room and use it in the cancel button action. Let's check if we are updating the room or just adding a new room. If we are updating the room, we are going to navigate back to our dashboard. Let's use navigate from React Router DOM. And let's navigate to the rooms page in the dashboard. And also let's clear the information of the room. And in case we are adding a new room, we will as well clear the information of the room. And also we are going to change the section to be the main map. Payload is 0. Now let's save and check again. Because now we are updating one of the rooms, if we click on cancel, we are going to be redirected to the dashboard, to the rooms page. Now let's try to edit this room. Here are the images. And if we try to edit new room or the same room, we can see that the images is still the same. No extra images were added. Now let's try cancel button when we add a new room. Let's cancel and we are now in the main map. And the information of the room cleared out. Let's try to edit again. But now here, if we try to delete one of these images, and then after that we cancel the editing, we changed our mind or something, this image was already deleted from our Firebase storage, and we will get a broken link for this image. And here's a broken link. We don't have this image anymore because it was already gone from our Firebase storage. We need to add a new condition when we delete the images. Let's go to the images list component when we add the images. This is the icon button. It triggers the deletion of the image. Let's go to the function handle delete. This is the function. We first delete the image from our global context or from the memory, and then delete that image from our Firebase storage. So here in between we need to stop the operation if it is updated room, not a new fresh room. Let's extract the object updated room and let's use it here in the condition. If it is updated room, for now we will just retain and stop the execution here. So let's save now and check again. Let's remove this now and update the room to change the images. And let's try to edit again one of the rooms. Let's try to delete this image and let's cancel and check again. And here is our image. It was not deleted from our Firebase storage. But we have another problem here. If we add new images and cancel the editing, these images already added to our Firebase storage and they are unused images. So we need to solve this problem. If we cancel here and edit again, that image already gone. We cleared that image from our memory or our global state, but the real image is stored in our Firebase storage. It is still there. And now also if we deleted images and submit the update, these images are still in our Firebase storage and they are extra images. We need to clear them out. So if we add then cancel, or we delete then submit the update, we still have these images in our Firebase storage. These are extra images. We need to get rid of them. To solve this problem, we need to add two states in our context provider, one for deleted images and one for added images. Those two states will save these images temporarily until we submit or until we cancel. If we cancel, we are going to delete the added from our Firebase storage. And if we submit the update, we need to delete the deleted images from our Firebase storage. So let's add the first state for deleted images. It is an empty array as default, and another one for added images. And let's go to the reducer to add actions to control these states. Let's copy this action and paste it here. First one to update deleted images, and the other one to update added images. And let's update the properties here. This is the array of deleted images, and here as well. And the other one for the added images array. These arrays will hold these images until we take action, even cancel or submit the update. Now let's save here and go back to our images list component. Here, if we delete an image and we are in the state of updating the room, we will add that image into our temp array deleted images. So let's dispatch here the action update deleted images and pass this deleted images URL. Let's save here and go to progress item component to add the added image if the state is updated as well. But here also we need to change the path inside our Firebase storage if we are updating the room. So let's check if updated room. Let's first extract it from our global state. In case we are updating one of the rooms, we are going to pass the ID of the user who already added this room. Otherwise, it is a new room, and we are going to pass the ID of the current user. Now here, let's add this image into added images array. So in case we are updating one of the rooms, we are going also to include this image in our array added images. Let's save here and go to update our function clear room. Let's add here more parameters. Current user, the images we need to delete, and in case there is no images passed, we are going to use an empty array. And the updated room, and the default value is null. Here later we are going to remove the information from our local storage, but until now we haven't stored this information in our local storage. So let's add here a condition. If it is updated room, we are going to take an action. Otherwise, we are going to take another action. So in case it is updated room, we are going to use our function delete images to delete these images. And we are going to pass the ID of the user who already added this room. Otherwise, we are going to delete the images passed to this function using the current user ID. Now let's update the actions that used this function. Let's update it in create room action. Here's the function. We need to add here only current user because we don't need to delete any images when we add a new room. We delete the images directly in that situation when we click on the X icon. Now let's update it in our action update room. Here we need to pass the current user, the deleted images array, and the updated room. And let's add deleted images as a parameter here. Let's save here and go to our handle submit function in add room component. We need here the two states, the deleted images and also the added images, because we need deleted images in the submit action and added images in the cancel action. So here, in case of updating, we are going to pass as well the deleted images. And in cancel action, if it is updated room, we are going to pass current user, added images to be deleted, and the updated room. And in case we are adding a new room and we cancel that is a process, we need to delete the whole images. This is the images state. We received this state from the global context. And we don't need here to pass updated room. And let's save here and go to our rooms actions component. We need here to add a new condition. If it is updated room, let's first extract this updated room from our global context. And we need as well added images array and the whole images in case it is a new room. We need to rename this variable because we already used it there. So let's call it new images. So in case we are updating one of the rooms, we will here delete the added images. So let's pass here current user, added images to be deleted, and the updated room. And in case it is a new room, let's copy this. We don't need this one. And let's update these added images to be the new images. In case we were adding a new room and we tried to update a new room by clicking on this edit button, before clearing the information of this new room from our state or our memory, we need to delete the whole images added. Let's first try to edit one of these rooms. And let's open the console to watch our states. Let's go to the components from the React Developer Tools extension. Here is our global state. This is the updated room, the ID of the room and the ID of the user. Deleted images and added images empty for now. Now let's try to delete this image. We can see that this image added to our deleted images array. This image will stay here in this array temporarily until we take one of the actions, even to update or to cancel. And here when we added the new image, we can see that it is added to added images array. This also will stay temporarily inside this array until we take one of these actions. So if we cancel, we are going to delete added images. Otherwise, if we submit our updated information, we need to delete the deleted images. Let's cancel now. In this case, our function deleted the new added images. Let's check the console. There's no error. That means that the added images deleted successfully from our Firebase storage. Let's try to edit again. We still have the old image after cancellation, but our arrays still have the images. They were not reset to the default and empty array. I think I forgot to add them to the action reset room. So let's go back to the reducer and add these arrays to the reset room action. Let's add here deleted images and assign it an empty array, and added images as well. And let's save and check again. Let's go to the dashboard and try to edit one of these rooms. Now here they are empty. Let's delete and let's add a new image. Both images were added here to these two arrays. Now if we try to submit the update, the deleted images will be deleted from our Firebase storage. Let's check the console. There is no error. That means the images were deleted from our Firebase storage. Let's try to edit again. If we try to add new information here and change the price, if we refresh, these new information already gone. It was not saved in our local storage or anywhere else. And this is not good for the user experience. We need to warn the user about closing or refreshing, and we need to save the information in the local storage. So let's go to the room actions and add a new action here. Let's call it store room. We will receive location, details, images of the room, the updated room object, the deleted images and the added images, and the current user ID. We will check here if there is a change in any of these information or the fields. So if there's a change in the longitude or the latitude of the location, or the price, or the title, or the description, or there were images inside our array images, only if there is a change, we are going to write all of these information into our local storage. So we are going to save them under the key user ID. And we will add all of these objects. Let's copy them all and paste here. And we will return true because we are going to use this function in another condition. And in case there's no change, we are going to return false. We need to add these information to the local storage in two cases: if the user logged out or the user left or refreshed the page. So here in the user actions, let's add a new action. Let's call it logout. We will receive the dispatcher and we will update the state of the user. We will assign it to null to clear it, and we will reset the room to remove all the information from the memory, because if there are two users using the same computer, the information will stay in the memory. So we need to clear the information from the memory when the user logged out. Let's go now to the user menu where the user can log out. Here's the logout action. We need to replace this action. Let's add a new function here. Let's call it handle logout. And let's add it here. Before we log out, we need to store the information of the user in the local storage. So let's use the function store room and pass it location, details, images and updated room, deleted images and added images, and the current user ID. This function will test these information. If there is a change, it will add these information to the local storage. And after that, we can log the user out. We will use the action logout we've just created in the user actions. Now let's extract these states from the global context. And let's add here listener if the user left or refreshed the page. We can add this listener in the app component or the context provider, but I added it here because we already extracted all of these objects from the global state. This use effect will depend on the location, details and images. If there is any change in these states, we will set this listener. So window.add event listener beforeUnload. We will pass it this new function store before leave. And let's copy this to clear this listener. And replace this with remove. We just need one listener every time there is a change. We don't want it to set many listeners. So before we set a new listener, we cleared the previous listener. Now let's create this function. This function will receive the event. And we will check here if there is a change using our store room function. Let's copy it. And that is why we returned true when we created this function. Only if there is a change we are going to warn the user. So we will prevent closing the page and we will retain our warning pop-up message. So let's save here and let's copy this from handle logout because we are going to use it in the logout in our dashboard. Let's go now to the side list component in our dashboard. And here in handle logout, let's replace this action and let's import this store room and logout from user actions. And let's extract all of these from our global context. Let's place them here. Now let's save here and go to our context provider. This all use effect to extract the current user from our local storage. And we need here to add a new use effect. This use effect will depend on the current user. So if there is a change in the current user, if the user logged out and another user logged in, we will check first that the current user is not null. Then we will try to read the information from our local storage. And we will pass it state.currentUser.id. This is the key where we stored the information in the local storage under it. Now let's check if we found the room or the information. We will change all our global states in the context. So first we will change the location. The payload, it will be the location we found in the storage. And let's copy it 5 times. One for details. And here's the details. And one for the images. Here as well. and one for updated room, and we will replace it with our updated room object in the local storage. The deleted images, and lastly the added images. Let's save here, and we need to go to add location component. We don't want to find the location of the user automatically before we check our local storage if there is already location. Let's extract here the current user, and let's try to find the location in our local storage. Store the location equals json.parse, and we will try to get the item from the local storage using our current user.id, and we need here only the location. So let's add it here in the condition, and the condition as well, there is no longitude in our local storage location, as well as there is no latitude. Only on this case we are going to try to find the location of the user by the city. We need to cut this and use it in another use effect to recenter the map. This new use effect will depend on longitude and latitude in our global state, because we already changed these global states using even the local storage or finding the location of the user automatically. So if there is a change in the location, we will check if the longitude and latitude not all 0 and the map is ready. That means that the reference is assigned to a real map. We will change the center of the map to this location. So let's save and check now. Let's go to the dashboard and let's edit this room. Let's try to change the price, update the title as well, and let's try to close the window. And here is the warning. Let's cancel here and let's try to refresh, and here's the warning again. Let's go with reloading. Let's check our information. The new title is still here and the new price as well. So our functionality is working correctly. If we checked here the local storage, we can see here is the information of this current user. Added images and deleted images is empty now. Let's try to go to the images. Let's delete this one and let's add a new one, and let's try to log out, and let's log in with another user. And here is a fresh information. Let's add here title and description. And let's update the price. And let's add here images. Let's log out now and log in with Eric again. We can see here the old information of Eric. The location is The Hague, and the new title and the price and the new image. If we check the local storage, we can see here the added images and deleted images in these arrays, and they will stay here until we take action. Let's try to log in back with rows. And here is the information of rows. The location, the details for this new room, and the images. In our next video, we are going to work on the access rules, how to limit the access for the normal users, and how to give the advantage for the admin and editor to access more information. If we go to the dashboard here, Rose is basic, so she can only see her rooms, and she can't access the main dashboard information nor the users table. But if we try to log in with admin user, this user can access the main page of the dashboard, these statistics, and the users table, as well as the whole rooms table. So see you guys in our upcoming video.